Man, but all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the next video here. I do want to get into Kimmel, so let's get right into it.
Jimmy Kimmel pushed back against new calls from the First Lady and the President, basically to get him fired, this time over a joke he made last week, days before the White House Correspondents Dinner.
Just can't help himself.
And of course, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Again, that was days before the incident.
I'm just sorry, but like, a glow like an expecting widow. It's like I would laugh, but I'd also understand, like, yo, that's a pretty dork ass joke. Like, whoa, a glow like an expecting widow. So she's gonna be happy when her husband dies. Like, is that what you're saying, bro? I don't think that's something you would want to say to anybody, to be real with you. Yeah, bro, when your wife dies, she's gonna have a glow of an expecting widow. You would want to fight somebody who says that about you. But hey, a joke's a joke. It is what it is, guys. But to be quite honest with you guys, I mean, look, man, when you start seeing conservatives start making some distasteful jokes, I don't want to hear anything. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. As long as you guys are being fair on that, it's all good. We can all look past this.
And Saturday night, the attempted shooting there. But now the First Lady says his words, Jimmy Kimmel's words, are corrosive and that they deepen the political sickness within the country. And she added, it is time for ABC to take a stand. President Trump also said that Kimmel should be fired and said the joke was a despicable call to violence. Kimmel pushed back during his monologue overnight.
Obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not.
I mean, bro, a light roast. I mean, look, I get it, but you kind of sat there and said the glow of an expecting widow. I'm sorry, but when you say that, like I said, it's a bit distasteful to sit there and say that anybody's wife would have a glow of what, happiness, like because their husband died over a payday. I mean, come on, bro, that's very distasteful. That's like, bro, if I said that about your parents or something, like, oh yeah, you're gonna have a glow of an expecting, like, grieving son once your mom dies. Dude, you slapped me in the face if I said that. So I'm see what's the difference. Like, it's absolutely insane. Now, like, I get it. It's a dark ass funny joke, but come on, to direct it towards a president that had multiple attempts on his life. And you're right, he is 80 years old. Man's on his way out the door. I mean, to make a comment like that is, like I said, is distasteful. I don't know what's up with Kimmel, but bro, chill out when it comes to Trump. You do not be making the best jokes. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate your support. If you have any question, comment, jokes, disagreements, please send it in the super chat. And also make sure to double tap that screen and smash the like button.
By any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence.
No, we get that. We get that. That wasn't a call for an assassination. It was just a terrible joke. I got to be real with you. It wasn't a call for assassination. It was just a terrible joke. Like, that's all. And it is what it is. Like, I can't be mad at that. I mean, just because I disagree with the joke, but I ain't going to sit here and say he deserves to be fired. That's a bit of a stretch. All right, and shout out Sid. I can handle someone with the nukes threatening to wipe out an entire civilization, but suggesting Melania would be happy if Trump passes too far? Come on, bro. Trump was not saying that as a joke. Bro was saying a threat. That was not a joke. These are two different things. You can't compare a threat that he tacoed on, as you guys like to say, to a joke that he's saying. And, like, let's be real, he's saying this on a public platform, just saying it to get a laugh. Trump is saying this to scare the Iranians into a deal. Even though it didn't work, one's a threat and one's just a joke. Trump was not saying I'm going to destroy an entire civilization as a joke. He was saying that as, yo, if you don't do what I say, this is what I might just do. So you can't compare the two. Now, I guess if you want to compare Trump's Jesus, I mean, you know, he tried to picture himself as Jesus and then try to say it was a doctor. I mean, you can compare that and we will say, yeah, that's just as distasteful, but you can't compare a threat to a joke, Sid. I don't think that's being fair.
In particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it. Because
Yo, and that's the problem. Is like Kimmel's unchecked. I'm be real with you. Like, Sid, I understand your defense, but bro, you got to admit that is a very distasteful joke. If somebody made that joke about you and your wife, you would not be happy about that. You wouldn't think that was funny. Sitting there saying that your wife would be happy when you're dead, like, what the fuck? I'm be real with you. That's fucked up. Like, I'm sorry, but that's like that's like Loki is worse is when he said Tyler Robinson was MAGA. That's Loki is worse because you're literally saying that somebody would be gleeful at somebody's death. Like, and I'm sorry, but you guys want to sit there and claim that you're better than Trump, that you're not as bad as Trump, but you're studing yourself, you're lowering yourself to his level. Don't do that then if y'all want to sit there and hold that moral high ground then. But y'all got to keep it real. This was not a good joke. This was terrible. It was a terrible thing to say. This is not me defending Trump as much as y'all think it is. It's just me admitting that, yo, if somebody said this to me, I would be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Because
I wouldn't have took it as no joke. I'll be real with you.
All right, with us this morning, CNN media analyst Sarah Fisher from Axios and CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter. Brian, let me just start with you. Jimmy Kimmel.
And shout out to Sid. He says, you're right. It's worse if it's a threat. How about when Trump said Rob Reiner's son murdered him because he has TDS? Now, that was a going too far. Now, there you go. That's actually a pretty good damn example. There you go. That is easy. That's just as like distasteful. Sitting there saying, yeah, your son killed you because you hated Trump is like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? So there you go. That's actually a pretty good one. I'll give you that.
Kimmel, to my eye, didn't look particularly nervous last night as he was delivering that monologue,
great.
and it was notable that he was there at all. ABC didn't step in to take him off.
And it was highly narcissistic, I'll be real, because trying to sit there and say that Rob Reiner's son killed him because he had TDS, like, bro, you had nothing to do with that man's mental turmoil, nothing at all. But hey, you know Trump, sometimes he likes to make things about himself. Well, all the time he likes to make things about himself. Who are we kidding? One of the reasons why we love the guy sometimes. He hilariously does it.
It
absolutely was.
Yeah, they've done that before, kind of.
My indication, Disney's being tight-lipped about this. So on the record, nobody there is saying anything about Kimmel. But my sense, talking with sources, making calls overnight, is that Disney is absolutely standing by Kimmel. And you can see that because he was on everyone's television sets last night. But more importantly, behind the scenes, there have also been signals to Kimmel and to his team that the company is with him, that the company is not wavering, that the company is not going to try to knuckle or maybe cower in the face of Trump's pressure. And that is, of course, notable because of...
And they shouldn't. I mean, they shouldn't at all. I mean, all he just made was a very distasteful joke, and that's it. That's it. I mean, guys, all I got to say, if somebody was to sit there in your face and joke about your wife being happy that you're gone, I don't think you would see that as funny. And you only see this funny is because it's being told to Trump. So you lack consistency. Let's be real. And I could pretty much comfortably say that a lot of you who think this joke is okay to use towards Trump, you'd be a hypocrite. Because like I said, if it was used towards you, your friend, or a loved one of yours, you would not think that shit was funny.
Last fall because of Kimmelgate last fall when he was yanked from the airwaves. The reason he was yanked from the airwaves back then was in part due to local stations with cozy ties to the Trump administration that yanked Kimmel's show locally. The big difference in this case, John, is that those station group owners, Nexstar and Sinclair, they haven't done a thing. They haven't said a word. I think they learned last time that it was a mistake to pull Kimmel, and so they're not doing it this time. So we're seeing a big difference in the power dynamics here. Frankly, John, Kimmel has all the power this time.
Sarah, how do you see it? And I think just remind our viewers.
And there's positive reactions every time Kimmel does this. Like, bro, literally every time Kimmel does this, people stand behind him even harder. And I promise you, if y'all keep doing this to Kimmel, he's going to say something indefensible. So keep this up, guys. But I'm making this prediction now. If you guys keep defending Kimmel, he's going to get more and more like, bro, disrespectful. And he's going to say something that's going to be indefensible, and you guys will be catching yourselves trying to defend it or be playing whataboutisms with Trump. So I'm just saying, guys, you might want to watch yourself and start calling it out now and just say, look, we don't think he should be fired, but that was a terrible joke to tell about somebody. Like, honestly.
Relationship between the federal government and a broadcast network like ABC.
I agree with Brian that the dynamic is very different with the local broadcasters, especially because One of those broadcasters, Nexstar, is currently trying to do a big merger, and they're going through a lot of sort of court and litigation filings to be able to get that done. And so for them, they're not trying to put themselves in another position where they have to deal with another sort of legal battle when they're trying to get a big deal done. I think broadcasters are very vulnerable to these types of attacks from the president in this administration because the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, has jurisdiction over broadcasts. They don't have jurisdiction over internet properties or cable networks like CNN. And so for ABC, which is just one subsidiary in this broader ecosystem.
I'm sorry, but let's be real. One, it was bad time because it was basically an assassination. There was an assassination attempt on the president. And then sitting there saying that, like I said, the president's wife would be happy if he died. Like I said, it's just bad timing. It's not really funny, distasteful. And like I said, it's just something I don't think you guys would appreciate if somebody told that to you. Nor I don't think you guys would also appreciate if somebody tried to say you were part of I'm gonna be real with you, a perceived extremist group. But it is what it is. Shout out to my man Sid. He said Trump jokes are threatening genocide. Nothing happens. Bro, Trump jokes or threatens genocide. Nothing happens. When someone makes a distasteful joke about Trump, they use the power of the state to go after them. I mean, you know what? They didn't really use the power of the state. Melania Trump just came out and said, I think he should be fired. And I think there should be action about it. That's not really using the power of the state. That's just putting your personal opinion out there. It's not like they ordered the FCC on this guy. They didn't even do that the first time. Remember, the first time with Kimmel, it was the parent company of ABC that held him accountable. It wasn't the FCC. So we can't even say that the state is being used in that example or this one. Actually, this one, I'm be real with you, is being taken more lightly than last time. And he's getting more praise for it. So my man's winning right now by making these outrageous jokes. So it is what it is. But, I mean, bro, like I said, it's not really the state going after him. It's just Melania's expressing grievances, saying that she thinks he should be fired and that the company should be held accountable. But here's the thing. She's not bringing down the FCC on his ass. If so, and they were doing that, then Sid, I would completely agree with you because I wouldn't agree with that at all.
That is owned by Disney, they make their parent company more vulnerable to any sort of deals being stopped or probed or evaluated simply by existing as a broadcaster. That's why, John, you saw ABC and CBS settle lawsuits with the president, but not print publications, which aren't regulated as closely by the federal government, like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal.
I want to bring in CNN political analyst Michael Singleton and Sochi Hinojosa. I'm glad to have both of you here. All right, look, you know full well that this was asked of by the president and the first lady. They were offended by what he said. It did take place 2 days before the White House Correspondents, and we know, of course, what happened on that occasion. Sochi, what's your reaction to Kimmel's essentially pointing the finger back and saying, I think this should be a larger conversation, Mr. President?
Well, I think there has been this larger conversation over the last 24 to 48 hours about political rhetoric. And I do think it was a joke, and I'm glad he was able to address it. And he was talking.
I mean, like I said, you can make a bad joke. You can make a bad joke. That's perfectly fine. Like, I know, Sid, you're on my ass about that. And yes, you can make a bad joke. But the problem is, though, is just the timing of the joke. And like I said, he shouldn't be fired about it. He shouldn't be fired or anything. No consequences should come to him. The only consequence he should get is just a criticism of that joke. And that's it. He can live past that. And hold on, the FCC openly threatened the parent company. No, I know the director made a statement. He made a statement, but no action was taken. So we can't really say he brought down the FCC on them when no action was taken by the FCC themselves. Just fiery words from the director. I don't know. Maybe you could say the FCC tacoed too. They chickened out against Kimmel.
At his age, nobody wants anything to happen to this president or any president for that matter. I think that
no one doesn't want anything to happen to this president. I mean, come on now. Come on. You know that ain't true.
Probably moving forward, given the sensitivity of the political rhetoric, maybe we should just stop making jokes about our presidents moving forward when it comes to them, their age, or potentially them passing away. There were a lot of jokes at the time about Joe Biden. Totally get that, and his age. That's what happens when you elect 80-something-year-old presidents, right? I will say on the political,
people think that's not going to happen anymore.
I think joking about age is fine. I think the potential death of a president, I don't think that we should be joking about that. When it comes to the overall narrative about this, I think one thing we need to realize is that the political rhetoric always is set and the tone is set by the sitting president of the United States. And that is just the reality of things, regardless of whether the person is a Democrat or a Republican. And I believe we do have to take down the temperature, and we've had to take down the temperature for some time. There have been threats that have increased significantly since the 2020 election. And now what we're seeing is threats, and people play out those threats and potential, shooting like in Minneapolis and in other places. But when the president says take it down, I agree with him, but he also needs to take it down. And it does start with the president.
True.
I
can agree to that.
He should have just apologized. I remember when President Biden was.
But here's the thing, though. If you're expecting Kimmel to apologize, then I don't think that's fair. Then you should also expect Trump to apologize for all the outrageous stuff that he says or that he posted. But he does it. He stands on it. So who are we to get mad when Kimmel stands on it?
In office, and there were a lot of questions about his age. I raised many concerns just as a strategist, just as an American, about Democrats needing to be more transparent. When the president announced his cancer diagnosis, I completely changed my tune. It wasn't appropriate any longer to talk about his age. Here's a guy who's 80-something years old. He dedicated his life to the country and was battling something that millions of Americans battle every year. And unfortunately, most of them don't have great, superb health care in order to defeat it. And so I changed the tune. I agree that the president sets the tone. I do think the president in this particular moment in time should continue to move forward with his words the other night. However, I don't look to the president personally. I can only speak for Michael Singleton here to dictate.
Sid, I didn't even know he got indicted a second time, bro. I didn't even know that. I'm just looking it up now, and it was reported 10 minutes ago by CNN exclusive. Let's see here. Justice Department indicts former FBI Director James Comey for a second time. So shout out to Sid. I actually do appreciate you bringing this to my attention. So let's see if it actually plays into your point here, because it actually most likely does. All right, here. All right, former FBI Director James Comey was indicted Tuesday over a photo of Seychelles officials said threatening President Donald Trump. Are you? Whoa. Hold on a minute. Whoa, I'm sorry, but that's pretty hard to go off of. You're saying because of, what was it, the old 8647, right? Is that what we're talking about? Like the 8647. He was indicted Tuesday over the photo of Seychelles. Officials say threatening President Donald Trump, marking the administration's second attempt to prosecute one of his largest political opponents. 3 sources first told CNN. Trump has long pressed for his political adversaries to face charges, including the former FBI director he sees as a key leader in his perceived effort to weaponize justice systems against him. Last May, Comey posted a photo on social media of Seychelles on the beach while writing out the numbers 8647, which critics said reference to taking out or killing Donald Trump. Here is the Seychelles. What made him do something like that? I have no idea. I know a lot of people referencing that to like mafia, it's a code for assassination and all that good stuff. 86 somebody, which means to take him out. All right, here. When used as slang, the number 86 can refer to getting rid or tossing something out. Trump is currently the 47th president. Comey posted a photo of the shells, writing in caption, "Cool shell formation on the beach on my beach walk." Okay. Guys, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Now look, it's really hard to prove that Comey did that with the malicious intent to say that the president should be assassinated. It's really hard to prove that. I'm gonna be so real with you. And this does kind of go against his freedom of speech. He has the right to sit there and write 8647 in the sand if he wants to, and he shouldn't be arrested for that. Highly criticized for sure. But is he actually calling on the assassination of the president? It's really hard to verify that. You could sit there and say that he is, but that's not verifiable. And trust me, I would be on your side if you sit there and say, I ain't gonna lie, said that does kind of lead to that. And I'm on your side about it. But when you take it to court, it is not going to hold up. And honestly, he does have every right to sit there and express, I guess his wanting to take out the president. And he shouldn't be arrested, but Secret Service should pull up on his ass and start asking questions like, what do you mean by that? And I think they did already. But let's see here. The Secret Service brought Comey in, like I said, brought Comey in for hours-long interview with agents in Washington, D.C. So they, like I said, they did what I said they were going to do, bring him in and talk to him about it. See, an uncommon step by the agency over a non-Pacific threat. Comey told the investigators he saw the seashells on the beach in North Carolina. So you just seen 8647 on the beach. You just happened to be there. Well, we can't prove otherwise, so I guess you got it, bro. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard told Fox News following Kobe's post that the former director should be put behind bars for this and that she was very concerned for Trump's life. But like I said, guys, when this goes to court, it's going to be really hard to prove that he meant it that way. And it's going to be really hard to prove that he was the one out there aligning the shells unless the formation is still out there and they go ahead and start dusting, for fingerprints to see if his fingerprints are on it. And they're like, oh, yeah, you did formate this. It wasn't no random formation that you walked past, you lying bastard. But we don't have that, guys. So I might be real with you. This does lean into said point that this would be an attack on freedom of speech. Considering that, I mean, he's allowed to take a picture of that. And two, even if he did formate that together, yeah, it's kind of hard to prove that he meant that as assassinating the president. That's what he said. It's kind of hard. It's really weird to bring him in for a non-Pacific threat. So damn it, Sid. I guess I got to give you that one. I got to give it to you. I ain't going to sit here and play stupid. So I'll give that one to you.
What my words should be. Now, I've seen a lot of Democratic strategists, Republican strategists on different networks today saying, well, it's the Republicans' fault or it's the Democrats' fault. And I could certainly do that here tonight, or I could just look within myself and say, well, is this the time for that? Or can I lead by example as a strategist and say, I'm not going to demonize my friends on the other side? Sure, there are things that I can certainly point out, and the same could be said here. But is this the time for that? Or is this a moment to have a different type of analysis that elevates beyond the noise?
What is that analysis? Is it going beyond the idea? I mean, because the conversations are all about
but my bad, though. I think I forgot to read your chat because Sid was saying, tell me why they just indicted Comey on. Yeah, tell me what they just indicted Comey on, and then tell me this administration doesn't go after people for their speech. It's like, I'm be real with you, that is going after people for their speech. And then we don't even know if that's his actual speech. That could just be him literally taking a picture of a formation on the beach, and we don't know for sure. I doubt it. I most likely believe that he formatted it himself, but we don't know. And there wasn't enough evidence gathered because it wasn't that big of a deal for it to be truly investigated for fingerprints or anything crazy like that.
Right? But the conversations could also be about the prevalence of gun violence. The conversation could also be about security protocols in place. It could also be about funding for different agencies. It could be a number of things. And of course, this is part of what strategically you all will try to figure out, I'm sure, going forward to the midterm elections, of how voters will look at these issues. Because I got to tell you, most voters are going to look at this actual dinner as an unattainable elitist event to attend, right? Mm-hmm. But they'll look at the larger issues of how it impacts their feelings of safety more broadly. If this remains safe, where is?
Yeah, and I think that's right. And there is gun violence all across America. I bought my daughter light up shoes, and a mom came up to me and said, you probably shouldn't do that for a little girl who's going to enter kindergarten because that is unsafe in case there is an active shooter in her school.
What?
I hadn't thought about that.
Damn, bro, that's crazy. When it gets that bad to where you can't even wear the light up shoes every time you step. Well, what about an active shooter? Damn, I mean, you're right. I didn't think about it like that. But I mean, when we get to the point where we're worried about your kid wearing light up shoes, yeah, we're at a pretty bad spot. And I mean, shoot, I know I used to wear those light up shoes from Payless when I was a kid.
But those are the precautions that parents take now when they are trying to send their kids to school.
And to be clear, this is not a mass shooting event.
This is not correct.
That's not what I'm trying to infer here. However, the conversations that are happening in people's homes are less, I think, about maybe just rhetoric and more for the reasons you're talking about, that you don't set the tone based on the president and what you're saying, and more about larger issues of the political apparatuses.
Yeah. And I want to talk about how it wasn't a mass shooting. If that shooter would have been there about 30 minutes earlier, that would have been a mass shooting. People in that area are crowded. It would have been very hard for the Secret Service to actually shoot and take the guy down without
Kimmel facing backlash. Late night host Jimmy Kimmel facing backlash along these lines following some
Sorry, guys. What I was saying was, all right, let's see what the right side of media is talking about when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel. So let's get into Fox.
Sensitive comments he made about the First Lady.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
The First Lady responding to this joke, writing on X, quote, Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepen the political sickness within America. It is time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? Well, last night, Jimmy Kimmel acknowledged the criticism and responded like this.
I mean, rhetoric to divide our country. I mean, sure. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are coercive and deepens the political sickness within America. I mean, I'm be real with you guys. She kind of got a point there. When you're sitting there making jokes about, oh, when your husband die, you're going to be happy. It's like you're kind of are feeding that corrosive, that corrosive behavior that's deteriorating our political system. Like you're literally thinking that it's okay and this is what Kimmel's doing. Like you can't sit there as a TV personnel, as somebody who has high influence. You can't sit there and say that, oh, well, when the president dies, her wife's going to be happy. When I'm gonna be real with you, there's a lot of people that want the president dead who would be happy. And for you to include his wife as one of them is effed up. Be real with you. And all of the attacks on Trump's lives, this doesn't make the situation better for the guy. But be real with you. He shouldn't be fired. But he should be held accountable. And I mean, maybe not like fired or suspended, but you guys actually got to condemn him on this. Because if y'all keep letting them say crazy stuff like this, it's going to get to a point where something indefensible and y'all going to be left in a tough spot. Because trust me, it's coming up.
It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination, and they know that.
No, it wasn't. You're right. There wasn't no call to assassinate Trump. If anything, you were just saying, hey, Melania, you're almost rich. Just wait it out. He's almost dead, which is wild to say, but you ain't calling for no assassination. You're just calling for him to age out.
I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular. I am sorry that you and the president and everyone in that room on Saturday went through that. I really am. Just because no one got killed doesn't mean it wasn't traumatic and scary. And we should come together and be best. We really should.
Joining us now to react, senior writer for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, good morning to you.
Oh God, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people on a conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support.
Man, a lot of reaction to this expectant widow comment from Jimmy Kimmel, including David Axelrod, former senior advisor to President Obama, of course, who posted on X, I like Jimmy Kimmel. He's funny and courageous at a time when there has been too much cowardice. That said, this was a tasteless joke. The White House will use any issue to demand he be fired because his satire touches a nerve, and ABC is right to resist. But he'd be right to apologize. We heard from him last night.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, he'd be right to apologize. Like, dog, I'm sorry I told you that you'd be happy that your husband's dead. I mean, bro, like I said, if you said that to anybody else that's not Trump, you guys will call it out as a very distasteful joke. But because it's aimed at Trump, you guys want to sit here and try to defend it. Sorry, but no, it's a bad joke. You shouldn't be saying that to people. And if it was anybody else, or if it was you he said that to, you'd be pretty pissed off. So I'm pretty sure you can understand why Trump and Melania is pissed off, because saying that you'd be happy at one of your loved ones' death is absolutely insane. And I'll be real with you, smack somebody in the face for saying it to you.
He did not do that. Instead, said that it was a joke about their age difference. So what do you make of this latest controversy involving Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, of course, Jimmy Kimmel doubled down, Carly. I mean, he is incapable of apologizing for his open wish that Donald Trump be assassinated. I mean, let's think about what he said.
Now, all right, bro, that's extreme mischaracterization. Just say his open wish for Donald Trump just to die already, or just to age out and die. Like, you could say that, but to be assassinated, no.
again, which was probably courtesy of Jimmy Kimmel's wife, by the way, who serves as the lead writer of this distant third place late night comedy program. Quote, look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have the glow like an expectant widow. What else could any reasonable, sane and sober person possibly conclude except that being a call for Trump, who works as hard as anybody?
Well, I'm sane. I'm sober for now. So what I conclude is that, yeah, he was pretty much saying that, yo, when Trump dies, Melania is going to be happy. Not Trump should be assassinated, but when Trump dies, Melania will be happy because she's about to get a payday. He did not say, oh, when Trump gets assassinated, or don't worry, man, when Trump catches that bullet, you're going to be happy. He didn't say that. He said, don't worry, you look like you have the glow of an expecting widow, aka you're going to be happy when your husband dies. Not calling for it's still a terrible joke. It's still distasteful, but it's not calling for Trump's assassination. So that's a bit extreme to say.
Possibly conclude, except that being a call for Trump, who works as hard as anybody on the planet, appears to be in excellent health, to be suddenly dead. Jimmy Kimmel is not a comedian. You know what he is? He's Hassan Piker with an ABC logo. And ABC, which might as well be called MSABC at this point, just gave him a contract extension because that is what management wants this network to be. The tip of the spear in the radical Trump resistance. Congrats, guys. You just earned that distinction. And by the way, this is the former home of great journalists like David Brinkley and Ted Koppel. This is now the home. Let's make that very clear, of Jimmy Kimmel. He's the face of that network, the guy who cried on the air the night after Trump won back the White House. This is not a comedian. This is a radical activist. And the fact that he openly wished for the president to be dead and then try to explain it away as, oh, no, actually, it's just about the age difference. I mean, come on, give me a break. What a joke, except this guy rarely tells jokes on his show at this point. It's all about taking down Trump in one way or the other, Todd.
But, Joe, it's not just Kimmel. You had the second highest ranking Democrat, Hakeem Jeffries, just yesterday saying, I don't give a damn, when asked about how inflammatory rhetoric and his own inflammatory rhetoric impacts Republicans and violence against Republicans. So I just can't get past this, why the left cannot figure out this cause and effect relationship between their words.
You know, Sid, to answer your question, I get it. I get it. And trust me, bro, I grew up watching dark and distasteful humor too. But the problem is that, nobody else is shooting at a Democratic president. A popular, prominent Democratic figure like, I don't know, like Brian Tyler Cohen hasn't been shot. Nobody on y'all side has been shot in the neck in front of the whole wide world. None of y'all presidents have been shot on live television in front of the whole wide world. So I get the Republican sensitivity to this because honestly, they are being attacked by crazy leftists. Like, let's just keep it a buck. So I understand the sensitivity, and it is an overreaction. I'm not going to sit here and discount that. It's an overreaction, but I understand the sensitivity due to past actions, and we can't just ignore that. There's oversensitive, and they're attacking everybody because they're literally being physically shot at. They're literally and there are people who are wishing for their death. And I'm not talking about Kimmel, but you know who I'm talking about. People who actually wish for their death. I mean, this man's death. So I'm be real with you. Yeah, they're being sensitive right now. They're overreacting to this, but their overreaction is understandable.
And the normalization of violence. And we have this discussion after every one of these incidents, and nothing changes. And it doesn't look like anything's changing this time, Joe.
Yeah, I think what you're referencing, Todd, is the political leader of the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries, said when asked about, hey, you keep saying we need to use maximum warfare, that's the quote, against Donald Trump. Shouldn't you dial that back?
Yeah, but here's the thing, dog. Now, Pelosi's husband, he was attacked by some crazy guy from California that was naked, I believe. So a bit different. And then the Minnesota senator, yeah, that one, I'll be real with you. You know, that was, what was it? It was the guy that killed her. Now, was she killed because she was a Democrat? Because what I was hearing was that it was a planned assassination because she was the one actually voting against this some of these immigration laws that they had and how they're actually letting fraud through. And she knew they were for immigrants, for undocumented immigrants. and she voted against a bill that kind of put her in trouble, that had people threatening her life. But I mean, that's just some lore that I heard. So I would like to go with the theory that, what was it? Some guy who had a whole bunch of No King protests. What was it? No King protests. Damn, the word is escaping my mind. Signs. Let's call them signs, protest signs, whatever. He had a whole bunch of No King protest sign in his back, and he went out there to kill that lady and her husband, I believe. I don't know, man. Because here's the thing. Nobody attacked her because she was a prominent figure on about what she's saying. Actually, nobody even known about the senator until she died. People knew about Trump before he got shot. People knew about Charlie Kirk before he got shot. Nobody knew about this lady, before she got shot. So I know, God rest her soul in all this. We're not like not like we're trying to water down the severity of her death, but let's be real though. We're talking about people who have a voice who's getting shot because of their voice. Now, this lady, I mean, there is a conspiracy theory behind her getting shot because of her vote, or getting killed because of her vote. But nobody knew who she was before she got shot. Nobody knew about her. I mean, besides maybe the people in her district, in her state, but we're talking about nationwide recognition, and nationwide recognized Republicans, well, are kind of being attacked. We got to sit there and admit to that one. Nationwide recognized Republicans are being attacked. They are being threatened. It is what it is. And I do think that, trying to bring down ABC and trying to, get Jimmy Kimmel off is an overreaction and a violation of freedom of speech. But I understand where the overreaction is coming from. Like, as much as we want to see and try to draw comparisons, no prominent Democratic figures are being shot at. Or their lives might be getting threatened. I'm not going to say that. But nobody's carrying it out like they are for the Republicans.
And Hakeem Jeffries, just like Jimmy Kimmel, dialed down and said, no, we should use maximum warfare against Trump. When you have a Dan Goldman of New York say that Donald Trump needs to be eliminated.
Right,
when you had Joe Biden, now
that's fair, Chad. That's fair. We got to write them all off as crazy lunatics, because regardless of political affiliation, they still doing something crazy. But like I said, though, I do think the Republicans are overreacting and they're doing too much. But I do get the response to this because, well, let's be real, they are kind of being attacked right now.
Days before Donald Trump was first almost assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania, said it's time to put Donald Trump in a bullseye. Or when Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project once said that we need to put a bullet in Donald Trump. I could go on and on with all of the calls for violence against Trump, but it has real consequences, because not once, not twice, but now 3 times Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. And tell me which other world leader, any world leader, has had that many assassinations attempts against them. Not one. In this country, a superpower which should have the greatest security in the world. And when you talk like this, there's enough maniacs out there that will see it as a call to violence to take this man out. And it's going to keep happening, Todd. I hate to say this was the last time. It probably isn't, because they're not going to stop talking like this, guys.
Sad. No, it's so true. And I mean, this round of controversy comes 7 months after ABC suspended.
All right, guys, let's get into James Comey real quick. Of course, Fox News will report on this first. I mean, guys, this came out 52 minutes ago. All right, let's get into it.
Former FBI Director James Comey for a second time.